of the course, right? POL214, and we'll be talking about some certain views of political science, and we're going to be talking a little bit about what we discussed in our last class, and we will then proceed into talking about what the thumbnail has with. With this being said, let's get straight into it. Okay, so we have POL214. Okay, now let's talk about just a moment. Okay, let's just proceed a little bit. Okay. So I want us to talk about some terms we discussed in our last class, and just trying to sort out my material though, and then we proceed to the business of the day. Okay. Now, okay, just a moment. Okay. So I have, it's more of approaches, approaches to the term political science, different approaches here and there. This is one course that is very detailed, all right. And so very quickly, we want to look at what Haywood in 1994. Haywood in 1994. All right. Now Haywood in 1994. Haywood says that the state is a specific type of what political organization with surveying jurisdiction within a defined territory area within the capacity to make laws and enforce compliance. All right. Referred to as a state as a what? A political, all right, as a political what? Organization. Whole organization. Okay, referred to a state as a political organization that is capable of some certain things. All right, just a moment. It referred to the state as a political organization capable of what? Making its own laws. And before we talk about a state making its own law, that means the state has what we call sovereignty. All right, the state is independent. So we can talk about the state making its own law. As a matter of fact, if the state is sovereign. All right. So he said it's a political organization which is sovereign and has its own jurisdiction within a definite territory. All right, and it's capable of making its own law and enforcing compliance. Enforcing its own compliance. All right. We have that as that. Okay, I think that spelled compliance and spelled that. So we have that as that. Now let's proceed. Alternative approach by Marx, that's Marxism. All right, and this approach suggests that revolutionary changes, all right, can be brought about. Only revolutionary changes can bring about desired change in the society. In a society that requires, in a society that what? That requires or desires revolutionary change or changes. Revolutionary changes, all right, in a society that requires revolutionary changes. Now, the only thing that can make that is when they use the approach of Marxism, the Marxism approach. All right, only revolutionary changes can bring about the desired changes in the society. Okay, only revolutionary changes, only revolutionary changes can bring about the required changes in the society. Revolutionary change. All right, so we have that as that. Now let's proceed. Now let's talk about the structural functionalist approach. All right, just like what I said earlier on, it's been a lot of approaches in this course. So approaches that is attempting to give different views, opinions, positing different views and opinion of the term political party, of the term political science. Now let's proceed. Now, the structural functionalist approach is said to be an offshoot of system approach. All right, it's said to be an offshoot of system approach. All right, it's said to be an offshoot of system approach, and it focuses largely on what? Explaining the functions a political system must perform. All right, particular about what? Explaining the function a POL system must perform to what? To survive. Okay, the function a political system must perform to what? To survive. All right, to survive. And okay, it also defines the structures or organizations which can most effectively perform this function. That can most effectively perform the functions. 2 points. It explains, all right, it is the offshoot of the system approach, and here it explains, it speaks particularly about explaining the function of a political system, what it is required of a political system, to survive, and also the organization and structure that can or that can most effectively perform the required functions. So we have that as that. Now let's proceed. Now, the structures may be political parties, pressure groups, political party, pressure groups, or formal governmental institution. Now, this structure that we are talking about could be poll parties, all right, pressure groups, or governmental institutions. Okay, now we have that as that. Now, it is also essential that we talk about, it is also essential that we talk about the fact that the structural functional approach pioneered what? It was pioneered by Gabriel Almond. All right, Gabriel Almond. Okay, not Almond. Gabriel Almond. It was pioneered. This structural / functional approach was pioneered by Gabriel Almond. Right? Now we have that as that. Now, I think on this notes is for, we have concluded on our last class, and let's proceed into the class of today. Okay, so we have political processes approach, whole process approach by class, elite, and pluralism. Now let's take class first. If I'm not mistaken, I think it's yeah. Let's take class. So we are taking political process approach by class. Now, the class approach is an important tool in political science. All right? And now, this tool that is said to be important to political science is focused. All right? It's focused on the division of society. Is focused on the division of the society. Okay? Just a moment, trying to fix that. Alright. Important tool. Okay? In political science, in pol science. All right, and it focuses on the division of it focuses on the division of society into classes. Division of society into what? Classes. The class approach. Now, it also says, because it focuses on how the society is being divided into classes, now It's there, okay? Social stratification determines social conflicts and social change. Social stratification, all right? Social stratification determines what? Social conflicts. And social change. Okay. And the class approach is otherwise referred to as the Marxist, is otherwise referred to as Marxism. Okay, so we have that on the class approach. Now let's proceed. Now, the pluralism of the group approach. The pluralism of the group approach. Now, I think I should erase so we can have enough space. Okay, now just a moment. Okay, the pluralism or group approach. Now, the pluralism in its classical form believes that politics, okay, it believes that politics and decision making are located mostly in what? Governmental framework. Politics and decision making are located where? In governmental framework. That's the first point. It believes that political and decision making both are located in governmental framework. Now let's pay attention to this. Write it somewhere. And said, in the case of non-governmental groups, non-governmental group, he said they use their resources to exert influence. To exert influence. All right? In the case of non-governmental organizations. Now, so according to this approach, it says no group is without power or influence. All right? No group is without power to influence decision making, and equally no group is what is dominant. No group is without power to influence, and no group is also dominant. Now, just a moment. Okay. I think it's manageable this way. So we have now this approach is a major, all right, a major premise that any group can ensure that its political preferences and wishes are adopted and reflected in governmental action with sufficient determination and deployment of appropriate resources. Now, it's all about this approach from the word pluralism or group. It's all about a group thing. And you must have been hearing words like influence, decision making, resources. Now, it's all about the strength of a group ensuring that things fall in place. All right? It's all about the resources groups can pool when it comes to the governmental part or the governmental activity of a state. You know, so we have now the pluralists, okay, the pluralist emphasizes that power is not a physical entity, all right, that individuals either have or do not have, but flows from a variety. Now, just like what we have been saying earlier on, the pluralist is more of a group thing. You know, it's more of merging resources and power in order to achieve something greater. Now, and the pluralist also said something about actual power and potential power. Now, when we say actual power to the pluralists, to them, it means the ability to compel someone to do something compare. All right, now the potential power now is the possibility of turning resources into actual power. Of turning resources into what? Actual power. All right, the potential, the possibility of turning resources into actual power. So we have that as that. Now let's talk about the elite approach. Let's talk about the elite approach. The elite or the elite, whichever way. Or let's just call it the elite approach. All right. Now, according 2. Aslan. Aslan in 1995. Aslan in 1995, he said the concept of elites originally what derived from the Latin word eligre. Okay, derived from the Latin word eligre, all right, which means select, share a common basis, all right, and electa, which means elected or the best. 2 words, electa, and now this means this and this means this. Now for eligre, it means to share, to select, all right, share a common basis. All right, select, and elector means the best or elected. So we have that as that. Now let's proceed. Now, theoretically speaking, elites can be defined as those people who hold institutionalized power. All right, not just power, they are in charge, they make things happen, control and social resources, not just wealth, prestige, status or personal resources or charisma, and have serious, all right, they have serious influence on decision making process where they can impose their own will. You know, the way they make things happen is encapsulated. They make their own will. They can impose, all right, impose their own will and make things happen. They are referred to as the elites. Okay, now let's take that down very quickly. Now, people old words institutionalized. Institutionalized what? Power, control, influence, resources, name it. Resources, power, control, influence, charisma, energy, status, wealth, prestige, and the list goes on and on. And they do not just own all these things, all right? They can as well manipulate the system. You know, they are so influential to the extent that they can do and undo. They can manipulate the system. They can impose. I don't want us to start giving examples or citing examples of what is happening in our recent time. All right, but I believe we all know what I'm talking about. They are so much, you know, they are so much influential in the political terrain that they make things happen. All right, if they have not said, They have not said. Okay. Resources and capable of manipulating the system. Okay. Now we have that as that. Now let's proceed. Now, the Elite approach also developed as an alternative paradigm to pluralism. Alternative paradigm. Alright? Alternative paradigm to what? Pluralism. Alternative paradigm to pluralism, by rejecting the pluralist view concerning the distribution of power in the society. All right. Pluralist view of power sharing. Okay. And that will be all for tonight on the course POL214, and I believe we've been able to gain a thing or two in tonight's class, and we've gone far. All right, we've gone far beyond the half of this course, and in our next class I'm certain that I'm going to finish the material and we're going to move to some other things. Thank you very much. You get to submit your notes to your respective classes. Keep your notes up to date, submit them, and look forward to receiving them from you. See you in other tutorials. Bye bye.